consumption. But let's start off with the death toll from the Kirinyaga illicit brew consumption has hit 10 after 4 more people died while undergoing treatment at the Kerugoya County Referral Hospital. Scores of others continue to receive treatment, with the medical team rushing against time to save them from visual impairment or death. Now, it is now emerging that the owner of the bar where the group imbibed is a notorious brewer of illicit liquor and has been arrested and presented before court for a record 15 times. Let's get the details of that story.
The remains of California Bar in Kangai Ward, Kirinyaga County. Irate residents descended on the tippling house after the death of 6 people who consumed illicit liquor sold here. A bottle here, some refuse of what used to be seats, and tens of the containers carrying the killer brew. A quenching of thirst quest had turned tragic, and the numbers continue to rise. The death toll has hit 10 after 4 more people succumbed to the deadly effects of the drink while receiving treatment at the Kerugoya County Referral Hospital.
This is obvious. Yeah. Ameua in the first place, ameua. Yes. Na mashtaka mengine itafuata. KRA watamwangalia, anti-counterfeit watamwangalia, KEBS watamwangalia, police nao watamwangalia. So charges zitakuwa nyingi.
Those admitted at the hospital are still under the close supervision of medics who are rushing against time to save them from death or visual impairment. The owner of a joint, it emerges, has been a guest of a state for a record 15 times, but ends up getting a slap in the wrist from the Bericho law courts.
It's also very unfortunate that the perpetrator of what we are witnessing here has been to court more than 15 times. That tells you there is something that is not happening right somewhere. All the agencies of government, I want to urge you to work closely with each other.
And you will equally be appalled to know he has yet another joint, this time in Kandongu in the same county, which police claim they need to ascertain the brew sold there and which bears the same name, is counterfeit or not.
Ningependa kuwasihi watumishi wa serikali kuu pamoja na county, wale ambao wametwikwa mamlaka ya kushughulikia maslahi ya wananchi katika subsekta ya vileo na ile sekta ya justice, na tuache kubishana, tusaidiane kufanya kazi kwa pamoja.
John Jacob Kuria, Good Morning Kenya.
Thank you, JJ Kuria there. Now the High Court has issued conservatory orders suspending a directive by the Ministry of Education requiring parents and guardians to pay school fees through the e-Citizen platform. Justice Chacha Mwita says that after perusing pleadings in the petition presented before him, he was satisfied that the fundamental questions had been raised.
In a circular dated 31st of January 2024, Basic Education Principal Secretary Belio Kipsang directed that parents make fee payments and other levies for all government learning institutions through the e-Citizen platform. Institutions were asked to provide all their bank account details. It is a directive that elicited mixed reactions, and now the High Court has issued an interim conservatory order suspending the circular. Justice Chacha Mwita says that further directions on the petition will be issued on the 13th of February 2024.
Kenyans living.
President William Ruto, while meeting Kenyans living in Japan, has said the new policy that requires school fees to be paid through e-Citizen will eliminate illegal levies charged by certain schools.
We had something like, I think, 3,000 pay bills, you know? Now we have reduced the 3,000 pay bills to 1. We are insisting because we realize that there are illegal levies charged by boards of management of schools that go into accounts that nobody knows.
He said the government is committed to ensuring the transition to a digital payment system is complete.
And to the Embakasi tragedy, where 4 suspects in the Embakasi gas explosion that killed 4 people will remain in police custody for 3 weeks to allow the Directorate of Criminal Investigation complete investigations. Now, trial magistrate Dolphina Alego agreed with the prosecution that the matter being investigated is of public interest and requires more time for the investigators to conduct a thorough probe.
Senior Principal Magistrate Dolphina Alego said the owner Derek Kimathi and 2 other officials of NEMA will remain in custody for 21 days.
In the instant case, treatment notes will definitely form part of the investigations. Death certificates will now be required, and maybe post-mortem reports, and just mentioning a few of what could lead to the charges which the applicant assumes could be where his investigations are leading.
However, the 3rd suspect will be remanded at Capitol Hill Police Station for a maximum of 14 days, owing to a health condition.
That investigation of such magnitude cannot be done in a day or 2, as it needs a lot of intra-agency cooperations and have investigations concluded before the files are taken to the office of the Director of Public Prosecution. I equally agree with the defense that their clients are still innocent until proved otherwise. I beseech all of us, and I repeat, I beseech all of us to allow investigations to be done in the most humane and immediate possible way by the relevant authorities, because we are either directly affected or infected by this unfortunate mishap at Embakasi area as Kenyans.
The 4 are being investigated over murder, negligence and abuse of office. The matter will be mentioned on 28 February 2024. Elsewhere, former Nairobi Governor Mike Mbovi Sonko and 16 others can rest easy after they were acquitted in a graft case in which they were accused of misappropriating 357 million shillings in 2018 while he was a governor.
Whereas it is the duty of each party to close its own case, where a party, in defiance of the court's direction, contemptuously refuses to close its case, abandons the case and leaves it open, the court, in exercise of its judicial function, may close the evidence of that party, provided that this is done in good faith and in the interest of justice.
The anti-corruption magistrate Eunice Nyutu said the prosecution failed to adduce evidence to prove its case.
Had we any, such clear sabotage, frustration, scattering, and bungling of cases would be a thing of the past, especially when the cases involve a public agenda, national security, safety of the citizenry, or arise from the loss of public funds, such as in this instant case.
Sonko was charged alongside the chairman of KRA, Anthony Mwaura, and former Nairobi County Secretary for Finance, Peter Mbogwa, among others. To avoid abdication of duties and increase public confidence in the judiciary, Parliament has been urged to make laws that hold public prosecutors accountable in their discharge of duties. Ruth Wamboi reporting from Milimani Law Courts.
Thank you, Ruth Wamboi. Now, the death toll resulting from the Embakasi gas explosion has risen to 7 after 1 more person succumbed to injuries. Now, this is as the 5 victims sheltered at the Embakasi Social Hall have left the facility, with the government saying they have been reintegrated back with their families. Meanwhile, WAPA leader Kalonzo Musyoka has threatened that the Azimio la Umoja coalition will sue principal secretaries responsible for the environment.
1 more person on Wednesday succumbed to injuries sustained during the Thursday night Embakasi gas explosion, bringing to a total of 7 people who have since died from the fire incident. At the Embakasi Social Hall, things had returned to normal Wednesday afternoon as the victims sheltered at the facility left on Tuesday. According to government spokesperson Isaac Mwaura, some of the victims were integrated into the community and others provided with alternative accommodation. At the Embakasi Health Center, local leaders led by Embakasi Ward MCA Ricardo Nyantika visited some of the gas explosion victims, as well wishers continue to donate necessary items.
Nasikia wamekuwa kijaza gas kwa mtungi na shilingi 500. Sasa tunashangaa hii ni gas type gani hii? Wamekuwa kijazia watu hapa. Is it a proper gas or it was something else?
Our team from the county is on the ground. We have a Nairobi hospital team and also St. John's team. They are all on the ground, and these clients are being seen. Those with wounds are being dressed and discharged home.
This is as Embakasi South Member of Parliament Julius Mawathe claimed that an unnamed illegal gas filling station was operating in Imara Daima residential area.
Ko eneo bunge la Embakasi Kusini na area inaitwa Imara Daima. Kipo hapo hivyo. Kwa hivyo kinastahili kulewa katikati ya watu. Bado watu wanaendelea kuzungumza kufuata the normal procedure, lakini as of now what we are demanding and we are calling for is for the factory to be moved away from a residential area. It's in between the residents.
On his side, Kalonzo Musyoka warned that Azimio coalition will sue respective principal secretaries in the Environment and Energy departments for allowing the Embakasi gas plant to operate at the residential area.
My law firm can go on record along with others, and we are clear we may have to sue the following. Number one, Permanent Secretary for the Environment. Ndiye anahusika na mambo ya NEMA na kwingineko na mengineo. Number two, the CS or PS for Energy, asimamia mambo ya EPRA na mambo ya kupeana gas na malicensing na kila kitu.
Giverson Minor, Prime Edition.
Well, and that story by Giverson Minor brings us to our first break of the bulletin. I'll be back with much more. Thank you for staying with us. Now, Attorney General Justin Muturi has endorsed the Affordable Housing Bill, saying it addresses issues raised by the court. Appearing before the National Assembly Housing and Urban Planning Committee, Muturi, however, advised the National Assembly to ensure the bill is forwarded to the Senate as issues raised concern counties. National Assembly Leader of Majority, while moving the bill last year, had indicated that the bill will not require the input of senators.
The National Assembly Housing Committee and the Finance Committee jointly invited the Attorney General Justin Muturi to advise on the Affordable Housing Bill, its potential overlap with current laws, and whether it addresses the issues raised by the court. The government principal legal advisor said the affordable housing project should be implemented collectively by various government entities, and any conflict between the two levels of government must be addressed through consultations.
The likelihood of potential overlap between the national government and the county governments with regard to housing function is likely to be experienced in the area of planning and development as provided for under Clause 10 of the bill. Any such overlap in discharge of the functions between the two levels of government may be addressed through an express provision in the bill providing for consultation and cooperation where such arises.
While nullifying the housing levy last November, the three-judge bench at the High Court ruled it lacked legal framework on which the housing levy was anchored. Muturi, while endorsing the government-sponsored bill, said it will provide the legal framework to implement the housing project as demanded by the High Court.
By proposing to enact the bill, therefore, government is responding to the ruling of the court by establishing a legal framework for affordable housing and management of the funds to be collected under the proposed law. The bill further addresses the certainty of the law in terms of good governance, transparency and accountability as enshrined in Article 10.
MPs raised concerns over how Kenyans in the informal sector will be captured in the housing levy and why the houses cannot be rented out. The former House Speaker advised the members to ensure the bill is forwarded to the Senate since it involved counties.
I'm a Mamboga, about a border rider. how do you determine his gross income? Because this is a person that collects money, 20 bob, 200 shillings. Who is the employer that you will deduct 1.5? What is contentious now is paragraph 8 of that schedule 4. So how will we take into consideration this function to the county government? What is your proposal?
I did note that in just after the memorandum of objects and reasons, the leader majority, who is the sponsor of the bill, has indicated that this bill does not concern counties. I think we'll be cheating ourselves to say that the bill does not concern counties.
Over now to business news, where inflows from the World Bank, IMF, and multilateral partners are expected to anchor the stabilization of the shilling that has been under pressure in recent months. Central Bank Governor Dr. Kamau Thuge says the regulator will utilize tools at its disposal to protect the shilling if there is excessive volatility.
Speaking at a post-monetary policy committee briefing, Central Bank Governor Kamau Thuge said the exchange rate has overshot the equilibrium value and the central bank might intervene if there is excessive volatility.
Could be scope for central bank to support the exchange rate going forward.
He says additional dollar inflows from multilateral lenders and development partners are likely to support the shilling.
The Trade Development Bank also has made some disbursements, almost 400 million within the last 2 months. We're also expecting disbursements from the World Bank around March, April of almost, according to the Treasury, of about $1.5 billion. In addition to all that, of course, we have seen some interest by foreign investors in government securities. We are in the process of issuing the infrastructure bond, and we have seen significant foreign interest.
He says Kenya expects to access the international capital market, noting that the official forex reserve might be tapped if need be to pay off the $2 billion Eurobond, which matures this June.
We have engaged our lead managers, and we expect our lead managers to tell us when it's appropriate, when the market is appropriate for us to be able to access capital markets, to be able now to deal with the Eurobond that will be falling due in June of 2024.
Dr. Thuge projects a rise on non-performing loans following the increase of base lending rate from 12.5% to 13%, which has pushed up the cost of credit.
Yes, indeed. Of course, we are concerned about the non-performing loans and what impact the rising interest rates would have on them.
I look at sports now, where with the anticipation mounting for the WRC Safari Rally 2024, rally driver Issa Amwari remains focused on securing Dennis Mwenda as his navigator for the second consecutive year. Amwari's first test will be the Kenya National Rally Championship opener, the Eldoret Rally, on the 17th to the 18th of this month. Amwari underscores Mwenda's expertise and expresses his desire to continue the successful partnership. Now, despite finishing 4th last year in his category due to a puncture in the Sleeping Warrior stage, Amwari remains optimistic about his chances this year. This year's edition of the Safari Rally will be held from the 28th of March to the 31st of March in Naivasha.
Petitions are always high. We want to finish first because we don't win without finishing. We want to finish and finish well and finish in a good position. Last year we came 4th. This time we want a podium 1, 2, 3, or mostly 1. I actually want 1. And we know we are capable, we have the skills, we have a car to drive that. And that is our aim this year.
Well, that's where we bring the news to an end. But before that, I just want to bring you up to speed with what happened last night. Definitely, it was, Nigeria's taking the day, 4-2 in penalties. That was the Nigeria versus South Africa match that was at 8 p.m. And of course, Ivory Coast versus the DRC. Ivory Coast did take the day, beating the DRC 1-0. And so we know now that Nigeria and Ivory Coast will be in the finals on Sunday, while the DRC will take on South Africa, the Bafanas. So that's all we have for you this morning. Thank you so much for your time. We hope to see you again next week. But remember, Sunday is the D-Day, so you want to stay tuned. I'm Marie Yambo. See you again.